welcome back to UK Homicide. Today we're diving into the tragic death of 19-year-old Harry Dunn, a case that shook the whole of the UK and beyond. This case raises powerful questions about justice, accountability, power, and the limits of diplomatic protection. So with that said, let's uncover all the layers of the completely preventable death of Harry Dunn. Before we dive into the details, please take a moment to subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps keep these stories alive. For those of you listening on podcast, you will be able to hear video audio, but CCTV is visual only. Harry Dunn was born and raised in the picturesque town of Charlton, Hampshire. Known for his infectious smile and adventurous spirit, he was a beloved member of his close-knit community. Harry's passion for motorbikes was evident. He worked as a mechanic and reveled in the freedom that biking brought him. He had a future of possibilities before him, but little did Harry or his family realize that an act of complete recklessness would end that future. On August 27, 2019, while riding his motorbike near the Royal Air Force Base at Crowton, Harry's life changed in a split second. He was approaching a junction when a Volvo SUV driven by Anna Sakoulas, 45, an American living in the UK, hit him. Police began interviewing witnesses shortly after the accident, collecting statements from those who observed the incident. This included motorists who were present at the time and local residents. The road where the collision happened is straight, with hedges on either side. Witnesses indicated that the area was typically safe for motorists. Investigators conducted a thorough examination of the accident scene, including measurements of the road, skid marks, and vehicle positions. This helped reconstruct the events leading up to the collision. Forensic experts were engaged to analyze the vehicles involved, focusing on factors such as speed, vehicle damage, and road conditions at the time of the accident. Sakoulas initially provided a statement to the police, expressing her distress over the accident. Later, a spokesman from her law firm, Arnold & Porter, said, "Anne was driving on the wrong side of the road and had no time to react when she saw the motorbike. The crash happened too fast." Investigators worked tirelessly to establish the chain of events leading to the collision. Their findings revealed that Anna Sakoulas had been driving recklessly, prompting serious questions about her accountability. Police met with Sakoulas the day after the crash, 28 August. When they returned to the base for a follow-up interview, 19 days later, the Sakoulas family had fled the United Kingdom back to the United States in a private plane. This resulted in the case taking an unexpected turn. Sakoulas, whose husband was a U.S. intelligence officer at Crowton, invoked diplomatic immunity under the Vienna Convention, which shielded her from the consequences of her reckless actions. Diplomatic immunity is designed to protect diplomats and their families from prosecution under local laws, ensuring smooth international relations. However, it does not typically cover cases involving harm to local citizens, especially when it pertains to reckless or dangerous actions. Unsurprisingly, Harry's family began a quest for justice, and there was a countrywide public outcry. It's worth noting that the Washington Examiner has established that both Anne and her husband Jonathan Sakoulas were guilty of traffic offenses in Virginia. Anne Sakoulas was charged with failure to pay full time and attention and pleaded no contest. Jonathan Sakoulas was fined for failure to obey a highway sign in Virginia. In a separate incident, he pleaded guilty to misdemeanor reckless speeding after being caught traveling 92 miles per hour in a 65-mile-per-hour zone. The Dunn family refused to stay silent in the face of such injustice. They launched a relentless campaign for accountability, demanding answers from both the UK and US governments. Public protests erupted, with community members and supporters rallying around the family, emphasizing that this case was not just about Harry, but about justice for all victims. The UK government and the presiding judge issued a formal extradition request for Sakoulas to stand trial, which was promptly denied by the US, citing diplomatic immunity as a barrier to her extradition. Even the Prime Minister Boris Johnson requested Sakoulas' return to the UK and raised the matter with Trump, urging him to return her to the UK to face trial.
Everybody's sympathies are very much with the family of Harry Dunn, and our condolences to them for their tragic loss. And no, I must answer you directly. I do not think that it can be right to use the process of diplomatic immunity for this type of purpose. And I hope that Anne Sakoulas will come back and will engage properly with the processes of law as they're carried out in this country. And that's a point that we've raised or are raising today with the American ambassador here in the UK. And I hope it will be resolved very shortly. And to anticipate a question that you might want to raise, if we can't resolve it, then of course I will be raising it myself personally with the White House.
Trump confirmed in a press conference that he had spoken with the Prime Minister and was working out a solution that would give Dunn's grieving family some healing.
The family was really, it was beautiful in a certain way. They did not want to meet with the person in question, but we had a very good meeting. They're very nice people. It was very sad, to be honest. He lost, and they lost their son. I believe it was going down the wrong way because that happens in Europe. You go to Europe and the roads are opposite. And it's very tough. If you're from the United States, you do make that decision to make a right turn where you're supposed to make a left turn. The roads are opposite. And she said that's what happened. That happens to a lot of people, by the way. But she said that's what happened. She was in the room right out there. We met right here in this area. And I offered to bring the person in question in, and they weren't ready for it. But I did offer. I spoke with Boris. He asked me if I do that, and I did it. Unfortunately, they wanted to meet with her, and unfortunately, when we had everybody together, they decided not to meet. Perhaps they had lawyers involved by that time. I don't know exactly. I know the people were lovely. They were very nice, and they were, desperately sad.
Harry's parents had a very different account of this meeting.
The American woman, the wife of a diplomat who accidentally killed a young man while she was driving on the wrong side of the road. Well, those British parents came to the U.S. to the White House, and President Trump then revealed that that American woman was sitting in the next room. They refused to see her, and tonight their new reaction to being surprised like that. Here's Terry Moran.
Because when they got to the White House last night, Trump had a surprise waiting. In the next room, ready to meet them, was Anne Sakoulas. It was all too much for the family, and they declined the meeting, as they told CBS News.
To be thrown into a room together with no prior warning, that's not good for her mental health. It's certainly not good for ours.
The family want Anne Sakoulas to return to the UK. President Trump gave them no signs that would happen, but he said he'd stay on the case.
If it was your 19-year-old son or your son, no matter what age, you would be doing the same as me. And he was holding my hand at the time, and he said, yes, I would. And he said, maybe we'll try and push this from a different angle.
Even Hillary Clinton got involved.
There are clear lines that govern diplomatic immunity. Sometimes it causes consternation. We've had that in our country when something happened and a diplomat was able to leave. But then there are gray areas. So I would hope that experienced heads are trying to figure out the appropriate response.
And do you think that the suspect, Anne Sakoulas, should be sent back to the UK to face justice?
I can't jump to that conclusion. There's something called the Vienna Convention. There's all kinds of precedent about when diplomatic immunity applies, when it doesn't. That's why there should be this very thoughtful inquiry that our country and yours undertakes to determine was it or was it not appropriate, and what should be the follow-on remedies and actions depending upon the finding.
The trial. Anne Sakoulas, hearing virtually, was represented by a legal team that included prominent attorneys specializing in international law and criminal defense. Her defense centered around her evoking diplomatic immunity, arguing that as the spouse of a diplomat stationed at RAF Croton, she was protected from prosecution under UK law. The defense emphasized her immediate cooperation with police after the incident and her emotional state following the accident, portraying her as a mother who did not intend to cause harm. Sakulas's lawyers also highlighted the challenges of driving on the opposite side of the road for Americans, suggesting that this contributed to the tragic accident. They argued that the collision was not a result of reckless behavior, but rather a tragic mistake aiming to mitigate her culpability in the eyes of the court. The prosecution was led by the Crown Prosecution Service, who presented a strong case against Sakulas. They argued that her actions constituted reckless driving, primarily due to her decision to drive on the wrong side of the road, which directly led to Harry Dunn's death. The prosecution highlighted the fact that the accident resulted in the tragic loss of a young life, emphasizing the need for accountability and justice for the Dunn family. They contended that Sakulas should be tried in the UK, regardless of her diplomatic status, arguing that allowing her to evade responsibility would set a dangerous precedent. The judge issued a sentence of only 8 months in prison, suspended for 12 months, meaning Sakulas would not serve time unless she committed another offense during that period.
If I were to impose an immediate custodial sentence, then you would be unlawfully at large thereafter, and I would order you to return to the United Kingdom to serve it. The sentence will be put into effect if and when you enter the jurisdiction and surrendered to a police station. Before doing so, I have considered whether it is possible to suspend the sentence. You are also a mother of young children who would suffer disproportionate harm from your immediate imprisonment, and I am satisfied that appropriate punishment can be achieved without immediate custody. You are disqualified from driving for 12 months. For the offence of causing the death of Harry Dunn by your careless driving, the sentence is 8 months imprisonment, suspended for 12 months. There will be no additional requirements. The sentence means that if in the next 12 months you commit any offence, whether or not it is of the same type for which I'm sentencing you today, you would find yourself before the court again, and it is likely that the sentence will be brought into operation, either in full or in part.
The family's reaction.
Job done. Promise complete. Properly complete now. You know, Anne Sakulas has a criminal record for the rest of her life. That was something that, you know, she never thought she'd see. The US government never thought that they'd see. And we've worked tirelessly and relentlessly to make sure that she, in the end, still had to do what you and I would have had to have done. So, yeah, Harry, we've done it. And we're good. We're good.
Are you happy with the sentence?
We would have been happy with anything. We've never been invested in what the judge was going to hand down. For us, it was just all about doing the right thing, getting through the UK justice system, and done.
Yeah.
Not only did Anne Sakulas get an unbelievably light sentence, but her reaction to Harry's parents just after was absolutely disgusting. Those of you watching on YouTube can see the video that accompanies this audio.
What words do you have for Harry Dunn's family today?
Have a nice day.
Have you compounded their grief by delaying justice for 3 years? Is 3 years too long for this family to wait for justice?
Yes, you heard right. She said, "Have a nice day," showing no remorse or respect for Harry and his family.
What words do you have for Harry Dunn's family today?
Have a nice day.
Harry Dunn's funeral took place on September 30th, 2019, at St. Mary's Church in Bishop's Tackbrook, near his home in Northamptonshire. The service drew hundreds of mourners, including family, friends, fellow bikers, community members, and supporters, reflecting the widespread affection and respect he garnered during his life. Harry Dunn is remembered not only for the tragedy of his death, but for the vibrant life he led and the love he shared with those around him. The enduring impact of his story serves as a poignant reminder of the importance of accountability, justice for all, regardless of status, and the need for reform in the face of tragedy. Thank you for watching, listening, and honoring Harry's memory with me. Let me know your thoughts about this case. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more cases that bring attention to stories that need to be told. Take care, stay safe, and look out for each other. Until next time, bye.